Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live program. And today I have with me a very special person. And this person is no other but Tracy-Allen Ezechukwu. And I wouldn't like to let the maybe like the spill off, but I would wait for the person to do justice. But before I hand over the mic to Tracy, I would like to read a short bio about her. So this is someone I've known since my um first year in the university, and I've seen how she has grown in her career path, and I can literally tell how she has been consistent and how she has also helped other young people, most especially in Nigeria. And I understand maybe at this point you're trying to figure out how to navigate the deepest, job market, and you're trying to look for, oh, how do I get in for an interview? So Tracy-Allen is currently the country lead and the operations. She's also in charge of partnerships as Profit All, the UK based organization, and her goal is very simple. She helps to turn complicated ideas into straightforward, engaging content that connects, informs, and also drives results. And who passed over the 4 years, she has partnered with SMEs, corporations, freelancers to create SEOs, driven copies, streamline their workflows, and build content strategies that deliver measurable impact. So without much ado, I would like you guys to listen to Tracy as she takes us through the presentation, after which we are going to have question and answer. And the presentation will be on how to make and break into the job market. This is no fluff class. This is practically from my experience. And with with a loud clap and a virtual standing ovation, let us welcome Tracy-Allen Ezechukwu.
Standing ovation received.
Uh,
Thank you very much, James. Yeah. Um, I remember when we were speaking about getting the session and bringing it to life. It's a topic that's very dear to my heart because for someone like me, I do take a lot of pride and interest into self-development and self-empowerment and growth. I was privileged to understand how the world worked, or at least be able to foresee some of the challenges I would experience in adulthood right from school, right? I know that for some of my mates, they only started thinking about how to get a job,
yeah,
what to do with
exactly.
their lives during NYSC and post NYSC. But I sort of had started thinking about those questions right from my second year in school. So, you know, for me, I feel like a lot of people today have access to so many resources that resources is no longer the problem as opposed to 7, 8 years ago. Right
Mm,
now, it is a strategy, positioning, and networking issue that people are experiencing. It feels like the job market is saturated, and it is. It feels like getting a job is difficult, and it is. But at the same time, you have to earn a living, you have to be able to make impact, you have to be able to do something with your life. And so for me, I've been lucky, but also strategic enough to be able to carve out a niche for myself. And yeah, that's essentially what I want to walk us through today and give just practical examples that sort of give you an idea of how to go about it, right? People tell you build hard skills, build soft skills, but they don't really go into the nitty-gritties of it. Where do you get courses? How do you build a portfolio? How do you get in front of the people who actually matter?
okay.
When you get a job, how do you negotiate for a higher pay? What do you do to bring in more value? How do you make yourself indispensable in the space that you're operating in? So that those are some of the things that I would like to touch on today. And I think we can go right into it. Yeah, to the next slide. Okay. So these are things that I've already mentioned, right? When you apply for jobs today, it feels like you're shouting into a void. You're sending in your CVs, you've worked hard, you've done everything that you think you possibly can, and somehow it's not enough, right? I mean, I've been there. I remember when I was leaving school, I was working. I had a few projects that I was working, but I was also the sole breadwinner of my family at the time. So obviously the little jobs that I was doing weren't paying enough. That's one. And then I had to get a PPA placement for my NYSC. So that was also looking for another job as well. And I know I experienced a dry spell from when I went to camp till the end of the year. I think I went to camp in the middle of December and I didn't get a placement until January. So it might not sound like a long time, but when you're waiting and expecting and looking for something, you know how time sometimes looks like it's getting longer and the days go by slower. So, it's about telling you all the things that people don't tell you about the actual job market and the strategies that you can use to be seen, to be heard, to be hired, and also to carve out something niche for yourself as well. And next slide. Okay, so now the job market today is about skills, visibility, and confidence, right? People are looking for proof that you can do what you say you can do. People are not looking for credentials that they can find impressive. I mean, yes, impressive credentials can get you in through the door, but in the end, when you're having interviews, when you're speaking with recruiters, when you are pitching yourself, people need to be able to know that they're not wasting resources and time on you. That when they put you into the projects that they have assigned to you, you are adding to the return on investment rather than taking out of the company, right? Now, I'm not saying that there aren't bad companies out there or terrible people. However, what we're looking for is a rule book that is more likely to get you what you want as opposed to going out there without having anything in mind, right? So let's go to the next slide. Great. The first one I'm going to start with are hard skills. Hard skills are essentially technical things that you have a note to do about it, right? These are the tools that will get you into the room. A company is looking for a software engineer. Your hard skill is software engineering. A hospital is looking for a radiologist. Your hard skill is radiology. Those the things that you studied, the things that you can actually give value for to fill that role, right? So think about things like writing, design, coding, analytics. However, traditionally what has happened was that you had to spend thousands of dollars, thousands of naira to go through school and gain these hard skills. Now, I'm not saying school is not important. Please go get a degree. Please get a degree. The world hasn't been disrupted so much that you don't need a degree per se to live an excellent life. If you have the opportunity to get a degree, if you want to get a degree, I would strongly encourage you to get a degree. My issue is that you cannot just rely on the current educational system. It is no longer enough. It is no longer equipped to prepare you for the changes and the shifts that we're having in the real world. So what the four corners of a school does is that it makes it easier for you to focus as opposed to when you're trying to learn a course on your own, right? You have to supplement whatever it is you do in school or at your job with other sources of knowledge, with other sources of teachings. Think YouTube University, for example, Google certificates, Coursera, free webinars. I'm going to class to learn about biochemistry when I was in school. But I know that for every single topic that I studied, I always did a 5 minutes explanation on leukolemia, 5 minutes explanation on photosynthesis, 5 minutes explanation on, carbon ion on YouTube. And what I discovered was that while I still attended classes, while I still read the school course material, it was easier for me to understand a random India guy that I had never met on YouTube than it was for me to understand my lecturers. So what did I do? I actively went to look for my curricula. I broke down topics into different areas. And now that you have access to tools like GPT, Gemini, they are not just to stop you from thinking. They are supplementary tools, tools to
Exactly.
assist you to get to where you need to get to. Because
Exactly.
the trap with using tools like that is that you get to suffer from mental atrophy. You don't do your critical thinking as much as possible, right? But these tools are tools that assist you. So what did I do? Took my curricula. If you are currently trying to learn a hard skill, let's say how to build a wooden table, you can go on Gemini and say, I want to learn how to build a wooden table in 50 days. I need you to give me simple things that I can learn every single day so that I can become an intermediate wood maker in 50 days. And it's going to give you a curricula, a breakdown of everything that you need to do. The remaining job now is for you to actively look for resources that can help you do that. So, for example, Gemini suggests courses to me that are free that I can learn or take during my spare time. Or you go on YouTube. Okay, I have this curricula. I go on YouTube. 5 minutes explanation on this concept. 10 minutes explanation on this concept. Then on the weekend, I'm going to do a deep dive to learn more about that. A lot of people don't do this, and it baffles me because you have the tools and resources there. It's just an execution and strategy problem. So if you can find a way to not only look for traditional hard skills, but look for things that make your hard skill unique, then that can help. So for example, for someone like myself who studied biochemistry, obviously, if I really, really want to blow and make it big and be rich and famous, I'm more likely to do that if I work in big top pharmaceutical companies. However, getting into big top pharmaceutical companies is obviously a journey on its own. It probably might take
Yeah.
years to be able to break into that. So what do I do in the interim? Because I have bills to pay, I have families to take care of, I have other things that I need to show up for. What if I think of becoming a tutor? But then again, not just a regular tutor like being a lecturer in the university. I mean, TikTok is a tool that's available to everyone, and people are always going to be in university learning about chemistry. So what if I become the India guy on YouTube but on TikTok? Because everybody's watching TikTok. So you might as well just add me to your TikTok and learn one biochemical fact for the day. And so that just helps me build social proof that the hard skill that I'm trying to learn, that the hard skill I claim to know, I actually do know them. But I don't have to go back to traditional school. I don't have to spend money that I don't have going back to, the four corners of the school. And I can use these tools available, to help me. So essentially, by doing all of that, you are showing people that you can do the job even before they ask. And your TikTok can become a portfolio. Hi, I'm trying to break into a new area of research. I found that your company is a great fit for me. I would love to have the opportunity to speak with you for a reference on all the things that I've done. Here's my TikTok feed. They can look through what the videos. We have thousands of followers who are actually finding value in what you do. I'm more likely to pick someone like that as opposed to someone who just gave me a CV with a lot of nice credentials because you have practicality, you have proof that you can do what you're saying you can do. And I'm more likely to get a return on investment when I put my resources into you than other candidates that I have. So we can get to the next slide. Great. Now, after you've gotten into the room, that's when the real work begins. How do you make sure that the person you're speaking to not only remembers you, but is impressed enough to hire you? Because in the end, again, that's what you want. So your soft skills are essentially the glue to all this interaction that's happening. Think of a time when someone said, "Oh, I remember you. You're this person. You did A, B, C, D." A question I like to ask is, "Oh, what did I do that made me memorable to you? And is that something that I can replicate in the future when I'm interacting with that target audience?" How do you develop your communication skills? What do you do when it comes to time management? What do you do when it comes to problem solving? And how do you impute emotional intelligence, right? There's a reason why I highlighted this for. The reason why I did so is because they are things that I personally used to scale my career. I've been in the job market for, let's say, 3 to 4 years now, 4 years maximum, and I have increased my earnings by over 1,000%. This is not a joke. My first PPA job, I was being paid 50,000 naira. I know I had a project that I was working on the side, and that gave me 120,000 naira a month. So when you combine that, I started out of school at 170,000 naira. Right now, I earn over comfortably over 2 million every month in naira at this, if that is what you want to use to measure that. And all of that was within the span of 4 years. I started from the bottom as a as an intern for social media, and now I'm country lead for a UK startup. So by the time you think about moving from entry level to C-suite management, that's a journey that takes people a decade, 15 years to get to.
Yeah.
And I'm still well below 25, just 25. I finished school at 2021. I am 25 and I am a C-suite executive, right? So a lot of these things um, were things that worked for me. I may not have intentionally planned for it to happen that way. But because, again, remember, I mentioned that I had already started developing myself in school, I had 10 years of soft skills stacked up for the exponential growth that you're experiencing. Number one, I don't think people pay attention enough to communication, right? One thing that I learned working with senior management is they like to know what's happening. They don't like to be blindsided. If you give me a task and say, okay, Tracy, I need to have a report on, what all the teams are doing as contribute. The first thing I do is once I resume work, I tell my CEO, hi, good morning. Um, hope today went well. So here's a list of things that I'm looking to achieve today so that he has an idea and he's aware of what's happening on my desk. And he doesn't have to actively look for me to get it. Middle of the day, oh, hi, I just spoke to the product team. This is an overview of what's happening there. These are some of the questions that I asked them. And this is the steps that we agreed on, just letting you know. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. How about this? How about that? And then I answer those questions. So what I did, what I decided earlier on was to be a point of contact for everything you need to know about a project that I am responsible for. I don't wait for blockers. I actively look for ways to clear blockers. So if I'm not getting something from, like, who do I escalate to? Yes, I'm supposed to work with a colleague, but they're not giving me the things that I need. So I would go back to the person who gave me that task and say, oh, hi, I'm done with my part, but we're yet to be able to get to the finish line because I'm still waiting for something from this person. Would you be able to help me escalate to them or probably to someone else higher? Is there something going on that is not able to allow us to get this task finished? That communication doesn't leave anybody blindsided and it lets us know where things are, right? So all my reputation in all the companies and projects that I have worked with is Tracy takes ownership of her task, even if she's not the blocker, even if she's not the single point of reference. She takes ownership of her task from start to finish. So you only get the product when it is actually finished. You don't get haphazard work from me. You don't get things that are incomplete. You don't get things that are not clear. Communication. I've never heard someone who said that I over communicated. They would rather know everything than not know enough. So that's something that you can start practicing. How do I communicate in a way that is effective? And it's not just about telling people what you're doing at every single point in time, because then that becomes micromanagement. And then when do you have the time to actually do those jobs? But it's about presenting information in a way that makes the person understand what's going on. So something that I like to talk about is having a structure when you are sending a report. Hi, introduction. This is an overview of the project. Once the overview has been done, these are all the things that have been done so far. These are the blockers that we're experiencing. These are the things that we've done to resolve those blockers. Here's what's left. This is the timeline you can expect A, B, C, D. Clear, easy, simple. Anyone who reads that understands the backstory for that project, understands what's happening right now, and can manage the expectations for the future of what that project is supposed to look like. So With effective communication, you're now able to manage your time effectively because you don't have people pounding and breathing down your neck, asking questions in different departments and different staff channels where you need time to actually focus. But when it comes to time management, a lot of people are not creative. Boggles my mind, but it's a phenomenon I've seen throughout. You have your phone, you can use your Google Assistant, you can use Siri, you can use there are tools out there that work as reminders. Google Tasks, for example, is free. Whatever it is that you have as a to-do list, you put it in there. You can put it on your calendar and it sends you reminders that, oh, these are things that need to be done, right? You don't have to be an encyclopedia. Nobody expects you to remember everything about anything, but people do expect you to do everything and anything. It's a double-edged sword, but it's what has to be done for you to be able to be efficient. So how do you remember everything without having to actively use your brain to remember or worry? You outsource that thinking, you outsource that label by using tools. Something that I worked with someone earlier in a job that they were working at was that they were always missing their deliverables and spent most of their day running around Slack responding to messages rather than actually doing the work. So what did we do? We talked about a list of their deliverables, a list of the work that they needed to do, and a list of recurring daily tasks. All I had to do was open your Google Calendar. You need to follow up with messages, right? You need to know things that are happening. Where do you get these messages from? The channels are email, Slack, Notion. You need Notion to document all the tasks that you're working on, collaborate on project reports, progress. You use your email for external correspondence or looking at shared documents. You also use Slack for team communication, right? To make it easier, every day, 9 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. on your calendar is blocked out for check my email. That's something that you can easily do within 15 minutes and respond to people. And you know that you're done with that for the day. Of course, you need to check your email at least twice. So why don't you do that first thing in the morning so that you can know what exactly to expect to follow up with and, play your to-do list. And then you end work by 5. So you can check your email, 4:30, 4:30 to 5. Once you go through your email, you can look at things that have been sent back to you for review. You note them down on Notion. So check your email and review Notion. You note them down on Notion. You follow up with the projects. You respond to any other emails that require you to give a timeline. And you can close for the day confident that tomorrow you have an actual to-do list that you can focus on and your emails are not filled. So if you can break that down on your Google Calendar, now you can actually forget about your email because you're definitely going to get reminders for when it needs to be done. And you don't miss out on important information like that. On certain times, let's say you want to update your Notion board at least twice a week, because again, it takes at least 1 to 3 days to be able to get a project to the end of the timeline. So every Tuesdays, every Fridays, you block out a time in your calendar to update Notion, 30 minutes, and you're able to put in all the tasks that you have done into the Notion board because it's easier for you to remember within that 1 to 2 day span than it is for you to start updating your Notion at the end of the week when you've forgotten everything else that happens, right? If you want to take it a step further, something that I did, for example, was that I got a smartwatch because again, I'm someone who I have to have a lot of responsibilities, and using my phone can sometimes distract me. I mean, responding to WhatsApp messages, and that's when you know that there's TikTok or other stuff. So, as much as I put app timers and sometimes delete social media totally on my phone, because I'm handling multiple projects in different jobs, I can't always be looking at my phone to get notifications from other projects when I'm in one. So, using a smartwatch, all I have to do is set up notifications on the different channels and apps that I get feedback from on all the different projects. And I have my smartwatch. So when I am focusing, let's say I am joining in and honing in on one job, my smartwatch alerts me when messages from other projects come in At least mentally, I am aware that there's something I need to check on this project. Mentally, I'm aware that someone asked for something and it's easier for me to get back to it as opposed to missing it out completely and wasting my time juggling between channels that are doing my actual work. So this is just a very simple, low-hanging fruit, creative way you can manage your time to optimize it for impact. Now, everything I explained in communication and time management ties into problem solving. Had a problem, this is how I think creatively, and this is how I solve it. You need to ask yourself, have I done everything possible to get this blocker out of the way? Have I followed up with all the people who could potentially help me solve this problem? Have I found ways to troubleshoot it myself? Do I need a tool that can easily help me, you know, reduce the barrier of entry or make it easier for me to focus on actually creating rather than managing? Problem solving is not just about the hard skill that you're asked to provide. It's about everything else that you do in managing the job, in managing the project, in managing the deliverable. So, for example, if you go through my LinkedIn, I talk about operations, particularly around businesses and content teams. How do you reduce blockers? For example, something that I did for my department was instead of having to answer the same question in different fonts, in different formats from different people, simply created a guide. Here's our operational process. If you need to know something about the business, explore everything we have in this drive. If you need to know about the product, explore everything we have in this drive. So that anybody that asks a question, I can say, oh, not to worry, I'm going to share your drive link, read through all the materials, and you will know everything and anything you need to know about this so that at least the foundational knowledge you need to be able to do your actual work is sorted. That's a creative way to think about how to get the thing that you need to get done faster with the highest amount of quality. Because remember, again, employers, hiring managers during your interview are looking for how you're able to solve the problem that they have. And this is something that you can key into as well. As you're conversing with a recruiter, okay, so now that I've answered this question, I would like to ask, what are two current issues you're experiencing within department and what does the end goal look like for you? They're going to tell you exactly what the problem is with that department, and then you can show yourself and say, oh, I essentially have the skills required to solve this problem. For example, I did A, B, and C, help the company manage their operational processes and improve. That's how they remember you. Because if someone asked me the problem that I was experiencing for a job that I'm hiring for and gave me practical solutions that could actually help me resolve that, they are more memorable to me than people who just answer questions that I answer. So again, soft skills are the skills that help people remember you and nudge them to complete the desired action, which is either hiring you for the role or giving you the project or giving you all of that. So emotional intelligence, um, obviously, from what it says, just being emotionally intelligent, it doesn't mean you have to baby people's emotions, especially if you're someone who's an introvert like myself, or you get overstimulated easily. However, you simply have to think about people as basic humans who require decency and respect when you're working with them. So one guide that can help you is if someone spoke to me in the manner that I'm speaking to them right now, this is something I would take offense at. That then ties into effective communication in the sense that the words you use to express the words you use to ask questions are not passive aggressive. Like you're actually focused on the job that actually has to be done rather than the person behind the job. And if you have issues with the person, then you look for conflict resolution systems, either by speaking to your team lead, if you are the team lead, by collaborating with other executives, just looking for ways to solve the issues. Now, of course, people are going to people. That's a factor that you can never really predict. However, you can build systems for yourself to make sure that anywhere the issue comes up, there is evidence that you did the basic human decent thing and that, of course, you were emotionally intelligent throughout the entire process. Yes, we have AI. Yes, we have artificial intelligence penetrating the spaces, but right now, a lot of things are still human centered. So you still have to remember the human side of things, right? These skills are more difficult to teach because you don't get a course in school that says soft skills for the job market. There are things that you have to learn and practice every single day of your life till the day you enter the ground. But when you have them, it becomes so much easier for you to scale, so much easier for you to grow. Because again, they are part and parcel of your operational life, of your professional life, and also your personality as well. So some ways that you can practice these skills are volunteering. With volunteering, people are not necessarily paying you a lot in cash, so they don't really have the leeway to micromanage you. However, it is it is an avenue for you to practice without serious consequences for making mistakes. Because again, the company is not putting in so much resources in you. So they are more likely to be kind and understanding and patient while you practice. You can also decide to build side projects for yourself. For example, if you are learning how to, if you want to break into catering and you want to build a business, you can build a personal side project. I'm going to make one new dish with everything that I have after every week. So at the end of the week, yeah, you have to go to the market, make purchases. But before you go to the market, you need to eat. So what is everything I have in my house that I can use to make a banging dish this morning in order to go to the market? Set up a social media account and try to communicate or create an accountability group. Look for other people who share the same problem with you and learn how to communicate effectively, learn how to manage your time and manage your expectations. How do you put emotional intelligence into that? Oh, hi, guys. I know it's been a really, really busy week, but in the spirit of learning this hard skill that I want to learn, these are some of the things that I did. And if people are not getting you, then you can pinpoint exactly what is wrong with your communication. How am I rubbing off people? How am I rubbing off on projects? And that can be the internal feedback that you need to pinpoint the errors that is working. Something else that I also like to do is occasionally take feedback from people. So I ask, working with me so far, what's something that you enjoyed? What's something that you didn't really like that you would like to see better? And people would be more than happy to tell you. I mean, if they're honest, at least they'll be more than happy to give you that feedback. And you can take that as an internal compass to see, am I really building the soft skills that I need? Is it really taking me where I want to go? And all of that. So yeah, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so as much as you are applying, the question is, are you prepared for the opportunity that you are seeking? Right? Sometimes we act in a manner that only makes us prepared for the now, as opposed to positioning us for the life that we actually want. So I'm sure you probably have heard things like dress for the job that you want, not the job that you are in. Um, it does something mentally to you. It puts you in a space where your eyes are more likely to spot opportunities that fit into the ultimate goal that you want. If I ask you, for example, how many red cards have you seen today? You don't have that information. But if
Mm.
you now have it at the back of your mind, if you're conscious about that, you begin to spot red cards because they present themselves to you because you're actively looking for them. If I told you that, oh, if you told me you wanted to own a property, I would ask you, what exactly have you done? Oh, I'm currently working. Okay, you're working. Or have you started building the savings in the hope that the property is coming soon? Have you started finding out information about the property laws around your state? These are things that you do in preparation for the ultimate goal. So that when you have enough money saved, or you hit a jackpot, or you win the lottery, you already have the prerequisite information you need to start making informed decisions, as opposed to delaying that, watering down that progress and losing that opportunity. So, how you can prepare, position, and present yourself is by first, you need to ask yourself today, what do I have? What do I need to get to where I want to go? Identify that gap, audit your skills, rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being novice, 5 being expert. At what stage am I in? Once you have that, you then break it down to what do I need to do to get to expert level? And getting to expert level, is that required before I actually start working on this, or do I need to work and grow for that? It doesn't have to be a lot. Personally, I like to pick things in big sizes because I've realized that as much as you have a long to-do list of all the things you want to achieve in life, you need to be able to break down into achievable, realistic goals, right? So something that I do is I ask myself, what are two things that I can focus on this month that I can do really, really well by the end of the month? And if I'm able to stick to it throughout 1 month, it becomes a habit, meaning I don't have to actively worry about it any longer. It just becomes a part of my day. And then the next month, whatever new goal I am setting builds on this habit that I've developed this month so that all of that can be a progress. And by the end of the year, you become a radically different person, at least within that space. So in auditing your skills, just ask yourself, what are all the things that I would love to have? 30 of them. All right. So let's break this down realistically. What are the things that I can achieve this year or that are most important or that are most pressing this year? That lifts my review to time eight. Okay, breaking it down further, what are the things that I can truly do with the skills and with where I am right now? That will bring the list down to five or three. Okay, just pick two because the goal is to start. The goal is not to get it right at once or at the first time. The goal is not to get it perfect. The goal is to start and remain in the race. So, okay, I'm going to pick two things. Where am I currently right now? Where do I want to be by the end of the year? What do I need to do every day? What do I need to do bi-weekly? What do I need to do every month to be able to get to this expected end? And then how do I practice all of that? Which takes us to positioning yourself. How do I practice all of that? Do I need to build a resume and share to people? Do I need to put consistently on social media? Do I need to look for a place in my community to volunteer and build a portfolio? How do I document this process and get internal feedback? In doing all of that, it becomes easier for you to tell your story, to explain your experience in a way that actually connects to the people who are looking for the service. Because again, remember, you learned by doing. You didn't learn by seeing, you didn't learn by observing, you learned and grew by actually doing and involving yourself in the process. Something that I decided when I left school was that I was going to learn new skills every year, but I was going to get jobs that paid me to learn these new skills. I get paid for learning. Nobody has, the privilege, not a lot of people have the privilege of time to spend a lot of time in school or learning courses without things that bring in income. So I get paid to learn within a job. And in any job that I am, I'm always actively looking for ways to do more than my job description. Now, this is dicey, right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you are being taken advantage of by your job, by your colleagues. But at the same time, I didn't mind that because I had a personal goal. I mean, I was trying to get somewhere. So that was the sacrifice that I had to make at that point in time. And I'm very strong-willed. If a place is toxic, I will leave. There's no negotiation for that around me. So if you're not someone who is really strong-willed, if you have some level of people pleaser tendencies, this might not be the strategy for you. Again, you need to know yourself. For me, I am very strong-willed. I'm able to exert my boundaries and I keep to my boundaries. So whatever extra task I am taking on, it is contributing to a skill that I want to learn. If I want to learn how to use Figma, I'm going to be in product business every day. Oh, hi, how can I help you guys? What do you guys need? Well, let me join your meetings just to listen in and ask questions. And then I go back at night and I practice from all the things that I learned from work. So you need to make sure that as much as you're providing your deliverables at work, your job is also paying you to learn new soft skills, new hard skills, because it's easier than having to go to school, than having to study at night. For people who work, you know that at the end of the day, all you really want to do is just sleep. That's all I want. Don't talk to me. Don't ask me questions. I really just want to sleep. So it is only when you're actively at work or in school in a system that you already show up for, it just has to give you more value. So at work, yes, you have your lunch break, you have your deliverables, but what is a new way for you to turn in your deliverables that also incorporates the soft skill that you're looking for? You want to move from marketing to product design. So obviously you turn in marketing reports. You can start breaking into product design by making your marketing reports visual. Use Figma, use Canva, use Adobe. to visualize these tools and see, okay, all the design elements that I'm learning, are they fine? You have a visual presentation, you go to the product designer, you go to the graphic designer. Do you think this color palette is fine? Are you able to get the information you need from this design? Your job is actively paying you to become a designer so that when you resign, you're not left stranded and you can easily move into a company that fits what you want the most. And it becomes easier for you to tell your story to the hiring manager, or I actually learned the skill while I was in my previous job because it shows how much I'm able to adapt and grow and provide even more value. And in fact, while I was hired as a marketing manager, I began to assist with product design. I was able to bring 30% increase in customer engagement. I really just give you people. So one new skill every 90 days just keeps you ready, keeps you agile, keeps you active. And these are just simple, practical steps that you can use for exponential results in your everyday life. Sounds mundane, it doesn't sound mind blowing, but they are powerful things that can help you if your goal is to try and remain consistent and show up rather than aiming for perfection and getting it right on the first row. So yeah. Um, so I was talking about my starting points, the questions, the self-doubt, the lack of clarity. And what I realized was that, again, you don't have to be perfect, but you need to commit to the journey. And it is only when you commit to the journey long enough that you begin to get feedback. So little wins, if your graphic designer tells you that, you've grown, oh, James. I remember that first design that you sent in, God Jesus, I would not even have done it for free or collected it for free. But at least this one, it makes sense. That's a positive feedback. It might not sound like a lot, but it means you're finally getting something right. And you're definitely not, the first time you started. So it gives you a reminder that um, progress is being made. Years are short, but the months are long. And then you look back and you find out that you're now a pro at what you're doing, right? I never stopped learning. I may not have taken like traditional courses, but I did do my best to make sure that I was trying new things every day at work, jumping on new things. And again, this is something that worked for me because I am a generalist. I find it very difficult to commit to one thing exclusively for a long period of time. I like to have new challenges, new things to do. I know myself. This is something that works for me. If you're someone who prefers to stick to one thing and commit to one idea, then obviously you're going to have to find breakthroughs that work for you. All right. So for you, for example, you may need to take actual niche courses, niche classes, but remember everything we talked about on how you need to be able to get exactly practical skills that you need that are actually moving you forward as opposed to traditional methods, right? And I discovered the unique value that I could provide in every single position that I was in. So again, your journey is unique to you. You may think that you've lost a lot of time, you've lost a lot of opportunities. It's okay to feel bad, it's okay to feel sad. But every time you feel sad, you just have to remind yourself that today's a good day to start. You tried committing to brushing your teeth every night before going to bed. You missed a day. You woke up the next morning, you felt sore, you felt, oh, I wish I brushed my teeth. Well, now is a good time to resume. Rather than remaining stuck on all the things that you've lost, you just have to keep reminding yourself that, yeah, now that I remember, it's a good time to start. It's a good time to continue. And you do that for long enough and it just becomes a habit without that negative feedback loop. So all of that just makes it easier for you to start practicing now without having to you know, lose time any further, without having to lose energy and progress any further. Great. So how do you take action now, as in today, as in right now? Again, like I mentioned, you don't have to change the world, you don't have to solve world hunger. You just need little actual actionable steps that you can take to start building the foundations of the things that you need. You need to pick one hard skill and soft skill that you want to learn that is important to you. Take out time to know yourself, take out time to understand yourself. You need to just pick one. So, for example, if you're someone like me who handles a lot of projects, rest is going to be an important thing to you. How do you calm your nervous system? How is it that you're not in a constant state of stress? Something that I did was I didn't do too much. I know myself. I work odd hours. So I work at least, let's say, 15 to 18 hours a day, juggling different things. So I might do my 9 to 5 shift. My 9 to 5 might extend to 8. I'm up by 12 to 4. There isn't a consistent schedule. I travel a lot, so I don't have a consistent place. What do? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my morning must start with me drinking water, meditating, moving my body, showering, having breakfast. It's a must. Wherever I am, that's something I can do. I can take a shower wherever I am, as long as it's morning.
Yeah.
So I might not wake up exactly 6 a.m. because my I wake up 5:45 a.m. every day. I may not wake up exactly 5:45 a.m. every day. Because again, remember, I might have done a 12 to 4 or an 11 to 3. So obviously I'm going to wake up later. But whenever I wake up, if it is a Monday, stand up, look for water to drink, move my body a little bit. Meditating can also be in the shower.
Yeah.
Meditating can also be in the shower. It doesn't have to be me thinking, oh, I want to use 15 minutes to meditate when I could have just gotten closer to work resumption time. So meditating can also be in the shower. So if my shower takes me 2, 3 minutes, I can extend that to 6 and just have something slow, calm my nerves, make sure that I'm in a better mental health space. Um, Look for something to have for breakfast. Breakfast doesn't have to be an elaborate meal. It could be as something as a fruit snack or as something as cereal. Although I don't really like cereal because I don't think it actually adds a lot of nutritional value. But
I wanted to
again,
say,
I would
who got
have
it about?
I do eat ever, right? And lots of vegetables, or
Yeah,
I
yeah,
try my
that's
best whenever I can to look for healthy snacks like yogurt, fruits. But there's something in my tummy. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, no negotiation. Even if it is 1 minute I do on each, it has to be fixed. Tuesdays,
nice.
I can decide that "Ugh, I'm too tired this morning. That's fine. Again, I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
commit to a habit. And if I can do it long enough, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I might as well do it sometimes on Tuesdays. I might as well do it sometimes on Thursdays. I might as well do it sometimes on Sundays. And that's how
Okay,
you
no.
build a stack that
Yeah.
then becomes a habit. So it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be much. A soft skill doesn't necessarily have to be how to communicate to world presidents. It could be something as simple as I would like to have better sleep. So something that I did now to make have better sleep was that, and I started this last year, was I noticed that, oh, if I didn't brush early enough, I would be hungry, I would be cranky because again, remember, I sometimes work odd hours. So perhaps if I brush my teeth every 2 days before I go to bed, it just puts my brain, it associates my brain associates the activity with calming down, with resting, with a refresh, with a restart. And so now every day I brush my teeth before going to bed. And anytime I miss that routine, I wake up in the worst state in the morning.
Mm,
And so in order not to wake up in the worst state, I might as well just continue that habit. So it's like little things. Of course, you're going to default, which is why I say you cannot be perfect immediately.
yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes you'll feel bad that, oh, I wish I really, really brushed my teeth. I regret. You just finish that statement by saying, well, now is a good time to resume. And it helps you not get stuck in that negative loop and go down the drain, but actually recommit yourself to that habit because you need to understand that you're not perfect, you're not a machine. Even machines give, room for error. The most important thing is that you have something that you have to show up for. And you are doing your genuine best to show up for it. So that's just that on, having a skill to focus on. And then you update your CV, you update your LinkedIn, you share new learnings, and this doesn't have to be something you do at once. You can just say, okay, this is a task that I overthink. I can spend 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, even if you're looking at it for 10 minutes. And then the next 10 minutes, you mentally know what's there. You're not expanding the task, making it bigger than it actually is. In the next 10 minutes, you can decide to change your biodata. Then in the next 10 minutes that you hop on it, okay, I might as well just finish it. And boom, your CV is done. Or you're done learning, new learnings. But again, you're not an island. You can always ask for help. You can always seek support from people who, have an interest in what you're trying to build as well. Um, Ask on socials, look for a group, create an accountability group. Tell your family members, I'm trying to make sure that my teeth is clean every time I go to bed. So if you see me going to bed, ask me, have you brushed? Ugh, okay, I'll go and brush. And then that's done. If you leave alone, you can set alarms, you can set reminders. Something that I do is when I set an alarm on my phone, I don't keep it close to me because it's easier to hit on snooze than actually getting up. So
Wow,
I
that,
either
I
keep
like
it,
that. That
I either
that's the
keep it on the
public
floor,
confession. Yeah,
I either keep it on
sincerely.
the floor, or I keep it in the cupboard where it is going to annoy me to get up. So the most important thing is getting off from the bed. And once I go to turn it off, now that I'm up, I might as well. It's just about making the barrier of entry lower, right? If you want to practice going to bed early, once it's 10 o'clock, of course, your phone has to be where you can easily reach it in case of emergencies and stuff like that. But at the same time, it shouldn't be so close where it's easy for you. When you wake up at night to pee and all of that, your phone is just right there for you to go on socials. So you can keep it on a side table, on the floor, anywhere that is not within arm's length, that's not within your reach, but not too far that you cannot easily or quickly get to it, right? So when you set an alarm, when you set a reminder for something to be done, you that taking that action towards getting your phone to stop that noise just makes it easier for you to get up and go do what you need to do. Something that I practiced as well to stop myself from getting distracted with my phone was I started putting my phone face down. So even when I got notifications, the screen wouldn't light up and my eyes wouldn't go there, which is why I have my smartwatch. So any important information that I have set to come across to me would come across on the smartwatch. And I have my laptop synced to most of my accounts. So I have my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok open on my laptop. But if I delete them on my phone, I don't go on those social media on my laptop, even though I have them on my laptop, which shows that you can survive without those apps. You can
Yeah,
actually do it. Like you only go there when they're easily accessible. So if you really, really, really want to see what's happening on social media, open to your desktop. It's an unpleasant experience. And you find that, oh, 2 days, a week, 1 month, I haven't gone on socials. I can actually live life going, knowing not what's happening on socials. You can do this if you're trying to get away from it, not if your job requires you to be on socials or if your life or your method. You understand?
yeah, I
So
get you, I get
again,
you, I get
the solution doesn't have to be radical. It doesn't have to be world changing. It's just thinking creatively in how you can solve your problems and committing to them. And seeking support is a part of that. So you shouldn't really wait for a job to change your life. You just need to build the tools that do. So once you have a system, any job you get fit into that system, it doesn't disrupt the quality of life or the goals that you have, and everything just functions fine.
Wow, thank you so much. You've
Yeah.
you've killed it. Let me just use that word. And I love the way you practically used examples like stories that are practicable, not just you can do this, you can do this. And the point that really hit me so hard was when I said James. Like use me as the example. Like that's actually fine. I think I have just few questions because time is fast spent.
Yeah.
Um, my first question would be like, what challenge have you've mentioned your story, but what significant challenge have you encountered in your career path journey and moving from one job to another and increasing and how you're able to also like get to know the important and relevant skills that you're able to transfer across board. So and how you're able to solve that challenge.
Okay. Um, so I guess the best way to explain it was I can think of just one,
Okay.
picking something that I wanted to focus on. I know that was what gave me a lot of mental worries when I was in my final year. Um, you would have heard me mention that I am a generalist, right?
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
so early on that I didn't have one thing that I had a particular interest in. My mind just goes to different places and I try to explore those. I didn't want to give up my curiosity because that's an important thing for me to live with, to survive on. It's a character trait that I never wanted to let go of. However, the world, the way it's structured right now, isn't really friendly and accommodating to curious people.
Mm.
Everybody expects you to niche down. And I knew I didn't want to niche down. So I I started randomly learning about random things while in school. And that's why I spoke about how I had the luxury and privilege of doing all of this while in school when I didn't have, the responsibilities, the full responsibilities of adulthood. So I just practice. I know I did designs with Canva. I know I did public speaking. I know I did communications. I did marketing. I volunteered. I was studying a science
You were everywhere.
course in school. Yes, I was actually everywhere.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was touching everything was to just find things that I felt I could handle, things that I felt I would not mind doing, right? I
Wow.
wasn't absolutely certain that I wanted to do them, but I knew that I would not mind doing them. And so, in doing that, now that I knew, okay, this is not a compromise I want to make, it then becomes the next question becomes how do you find a job that allows you essentially still rig my role around, but with still with the set deliverables? And that was why I found myself in marketing, social media management, and from there I grew into operations. When I was done with my youth service, I had a period of I think 1 month where I was jobless. So I was literally just living and surviving on some of the savings that I had from employment period. But something that I was lucky enough to have was that a lot of the times I had always worked with agencies or communities. So for most of the jobs that I did for writing, for documentation, I was working with an agency. So I didn't have to really worry about getting the clients myself. I just had someone who was responsible for that. And then I had a value service that was ready to be paid for. And then I networked with someone, a team lead in one of my former jobs who also got different projects. And then because of the rapport that we built, the communication, the dedication, and all of that, would then link me up to these projects. So for me, it's been a lot of networking. And I would encourage people as well, if you're not someone who really, really wants to involve yourself in the job hunting process, you can work with agencies. Now, of course, the requirements might be expensive, but if it's something that you can afford or you think it's a fair price to pay for not having to worry about the job market yourself, then they would be responsible for getting actual clients. And then you know that you can handle multiple projects at the same time with time management skills and get what you need.
Possible to,
Money.
would you like to share one or two agencies or would you like to keep them private?
I really don't know per se. Uh, I really don't know, right? Um, like I said, I'm an introvert, so I do things on a very, very micro scale for myself, but I'm sure that there are lots. you can see outside. For example, for freelancers, I know you can go on platforms like Contra. Fiverr and Upwork is not something that's very friendly to Africans, I would say. Or you can go on platforms like Contra, um, Flex Jobs, and mostly essentially just use like social media communities. So on LinkedIn, for example, I know that there are communities for specific niche skills, and you can go on there. Slack and Discord is also there are also channels that are hidden gems that a lot of people don't look at for. There are loads of communities there as well, and you can simply ask questions or reach out to the admin that, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. Do you have anyone? Is there any way or anything that I can do? Or even if it's just to give you like guest stuffs and all of that. So those are ways that you can go about that. The job market really isn't easy, to be honest. It seems like there are jobs
Right.
everywhere,
It
but nobody's
isn't.
hiring.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody's hiring. So you just have to look for alternative ways to reduce that burden on yourself and working with agencies or communities who spend more of their time getting the actual jobs that people actually want to hire for and having you within their database to assign these tasks so can help.
So if I may ask, what advice would you give to a newbie who wants to start out and doesn't know how to begin? Like, don't have to make it long, just short. Like, what would you like give to that person
Mm,
as an advice?
do it imperfect. Do it imperfectly, but just do something. God damn it. Do something. Do anything.
Oh, nice.
Just
Thank
start.
you. Just start. Thank you. Thank you for that. So if I may ask, what is the best way to reach out to you? Like, can they send you messages?
Mm,
I
yeah,
am
you can
already
reach me on LinkedIn.
provided. All right, provided the
Yeah,
place they can. All right. So
yeah. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I am more likely to respond on
seems to be
LinkedIn because
very
then I would
active
know
on
it's
LinkedIn.
yeah, yeah. I'm more likely to respond on LinkedIn.
Do you put on like do you set it on because most times you're always online?
Um, so it depends. Like I said, I work odd hours, so obviously it's on my laptop.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you see me active on LinkedIn by 2 a.m., I'm probably working and I just have it open somewhere. I'm on my phone working and it's, active. So, yeah.
Wow. Tracy, I really want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for this session, and I'm very sure the students will be very glad. So far I've
So,
had over 50 that registered, and like I told you earlier, I know this is a part that someone wants to explore, and they're like, so how do they start? Being an internet
mhm.
age, everybody claims, oh, we are digital natives, but feel a lot of confusion. They don't even know what to do first and what to do next. So I said, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to just put out a form, and it was just an idea with my friend, and I was like, wow, this is cool idea, and I started getting two, three, four, five, and I think over 50 people have registered now. I was about closing the form, but I just want to make sure that when I read through, I ensure that there are people that are really interested. So if anyone that listens to this is interested in knowing more, can definitely reach out to you for help and assistance and all.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say thank you very much for your time. Thank you for honoring our invitation. And I look forward to more invites. And yeah, I'm going to share you links on wherever we post it, either on YouTube or maybe as a podcast. I'll reach out to you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Looking forward
I'm
to it.
grateful.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great weekend. All
I
right.
will. You too as well.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.